Finance in the shipping industry has always been a major concern, and for the last 10 years, ship owners have trouble finding this and securing this finance. So where does bank financing go, and what is the way forward?
Bank financing is the main source of funding for the industry. It has been for historic, and it will continue to be an important funding source. What we do see is that the industry is getting more sophisticated when it comes to their funding base. And what I mean by that is the use of the capital market in a broader sense. From listing the companies, equity, it's from bonds, it's from USPPs, it's from export financing, leasing, and then bank debt. And that's the way we in DNB has broadened our scope, our business model, by developing and building up the competency and the placing power in all the various products globally for the industry. So we don't just come in as a one-trick pony with the bank debt. We come in and can give sourcing from many sources. And I think that is an extremely important aspect for all the companies, to be less dependent on either one bank or banking, but to use the capital markets and the doors as they open up. Because what we know is that suddenly some doors close.
Is there a specific sector in the shipping industry where the banks are normally trying to finance and provide more money?
It's not like they're in the flavor of the months, I would say. And most of the larger banks, like ourselves, we focus more on the companies and their need for funding, their access for capital. And then we follow the companies and what they do. So we are focusing then more on companies, management, ownership. We don't start with the asset. So then we follow their activity, and the most important is that you deal with a company that you built a good relationship with and you believe in for the future, and vice versa.
Today we've been discussing dry bulk shipping, container shipping, and LNG, as well as tanker shipping. Many of those ventures, if you like, they are trying to secure financing, and the question is, bearing in mind that dry bulk shipping is presenting some sort of rise of about 2% worldwide, does that sound more promising in terms of financing and securing finance from a bank?
I think it's important for banks to have a long-term view and to finance the right companies where you can add value, if it be tank or bulkers, depending on their activity. And you have to think through, you have to evaluate the longer-term perspective of that segment, being tanker or dry bulk. So I wouldn't say you prefer the one to the other. It's more, is it the company and their activity, and where you are in the cycle. So where you are in the cycle has more impact on the leverage that you can take on as a company, and also on then the financing.
What is the outlook for the next few years in terms of bank financing the shipping industry? Are we going to see more or less bank financing?
That's a good question. Fewer banks are involved in shipping today than if you look 5 years back. But what we do see is when good markets, new banks come to the arena, and new sources of funding. So good projects and good companies always have access to funding. It's a matter of terms more than the access. So I would say our advice is always to the clients: diversify, use the capital market in a broad sense. Obviously banks are the core part of your funding, but use the other sources as well, because that's the best way of reducing your financial risk.
And would you like to make a comment on the Capital Link event?
It's a good event. It's a lot of people here, and it's a good buzz. And just to walk around, I think it's so nice, and you have made it well for us to have a good mingling.